What's going on, guys? Welcome to my sports corner. We had a great night of fights on Saturday. Not the stoppages that we had on the Moraes versus Sandhagen card, but it was a good night of fights nonetheless. Today I'm going to be going through the card, looking at each fight, breaking it down, and then once we get to the main card, we'll be looking at my decisions and looking at how I went. I did do pretty good, I will say that. So starting off the card, we had Said Nurmagomedov with the early stoppage over Mark Striegel. He hit him with the inside of his wrist. If you look back at it, he leaned back and then hit him with the wrist. There's not much padding there, so pretty impactful shot. Dropped him. Mark Striegel was still in it, and Said just followed up with some ground and pound, and it was over. I mean, he clattered Mark Striegel's head off the canvas, and it was just done. Good fight to start off the card. And moving up, we had Max Christian versus Gadzhitov Murad Antigulov. Another decent fight in the light heavyweight division. Of course, Christian had fought at heavyweight last. He's not a heavyweight. He's a light heavyweight for sure, and this fight definitely showed it. It was a little bit of a questionable decision right at the end of the second round. Antigulov was out of it, but I mean, what do you want to say? I know that the round ending isn't the criteria to keep the fight going. I mean, you could have let it go a little bit more. I don't know, maybe. Nonetheless, Max Christian wins the fight by TKO with 3 seconds left in the 2 seconds left in the second round. And then moving up, we had the decision between Faraz Ziam and Jamie Malarkey. Not too much to say about this fight. It was a little bit of a questionable decision. It wasn't the most entertaining fight. Malarkey just kind of laid on him. I'm never a fan of just laying on him, so I'm kind of glad that he got screwed by the decision. Then moving on up, we had Park Jun-yong completely smashing John Phillips, set a new record for ground strikes, I believe. He just completely comes out smashing him. John Phillips, just his ground game is just non-existent. I don't know what's up with that guy. Park Young just took him down at will. Held him in dominant positions and just kind of teed off. I don't remember what the scorecards were, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 30-25 or something like that across the board. And moving on up, we had Jillian Robertson versus Poliana Biltelo. Coming into this fight, Poliana was a pretty dangerous opponent. However, Jillian Robertson just kind of cruised to a decision. She showed her wrestling. I know Biltelo was a pretty dangerous BJJ fighter coming in, and that was something to watch out for. But Jillian just, kind of showed her understanding of all the positions and, where she was in danger versus where she wasn't. Just kind of controlled her way to a victory. She's definitely a contender there in the flyweight division. Then moving on up, we had, the fight of the night in most people's eyes between Gamrot and then Guram Kutadalezi. Split decision. It could have went either way in my eyes. It really just came down to however you viewed that first round. Of course, Guram won the second. He dropped Gamrot, landed good strikes in that round, and then Gamrot won the third round. It just kind of came down to how you viewed that first round. Personally, I gave it to Guram. He just landed the more impactful strikes to me. Gamrot was a little more, octagon control. But Guram was just landing the more powerful, more effective strikes, and that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? It's whoever lands the most damage, not who controls the most. If the damage is equal, then you go to control. But damage is always your first criteria for a decision. Then moving on to the main card now. We had Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. I picked Jonathan Martinez in this fight. I picked him by decision. Almeida was coming off of a long layoff. Jonathan Martinez wasn't. Almeida isn't, like a championship level fighter like Ortega or like Cruz or somebody like that. You know what I mean? So ring rust definitely is a factor. Jonathan Martinez, was just pumping that jab out there, and Almeida just couldn't seem to get it out of the way. This was another fight that could have been fight of the night for me. However, they ended up giving it to Gamrot and Guram. No issue with that. Like I said, Almeida just kind of couldn't get out of the way of that jab. They both landed some good strikes, but it was a close fight. But a 30-27 across the board for me as well. Then moving on up the card, we had James Krause versus Claudio Silva. This was a weird fight. Claudio Silva was just looked like a freaking noodle man that you see outside the card. It's just just throwing strikes out there. He looked gassed out, but I don't really think he was. Um, because he kept up the same pace just about the whole fight. He was throwing a lot of sloppy takedowns and stuff like that, and Krause was just outpointing him. Just landing shots here and there. He was. I really thought he's gonna finish the fight. He kept hitting him with that step back right cross, and I really thought that was gonna get the job done at one point. But Claudio Silva just hung in there, and went to the decision. Pretty obvious decision for James Krause. I don't know if it was a 29-28 or 30-27. I forget. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy, thinking about it. Claudio Silva was undefeated coming into this fight, or in the UFC at least. He was 14-1 coming in. That's crazy to me. I know he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu wizard, and stand up isn't really where he thrives. But I mean, still, that's crazy to me that man was undefeated. Then moving on up, we had Jimmy Crute versus Modestas Bukauskas. I picked Jimmy Crute. Oh, and then in the last fight, I picked Krause. So that's 2-0, 3-0 now. Picked Jimmy Crute. I picked him by submission in the second round, I believe. I mean, what do you want to say? Jimmy Crute, has got fucking cinder blocks for hands. He came out there and, Modestas, I don't know why they do that. They go for these, leg kicks at punching range and they just get, clobbered. You're looking at a lot of fights. I don't have too many off the top of my head, but Corey Anderson is one that comes to mind. He's going for a leg kick, and Jan Blachowicz just cleans him, takes him to the cleaner, sends him to Bellator pretty much. I don't know why these guys go for these leg kicks in punch range and they think they're safe, but they're not. I wish I could think of a couple more off the top of my head, but I can't. But this is another example of that, just going for a leg kick when you probably shouldn't, or at least move your head off the center line. Jimmy Crute just hit him with a mean overhand flash, KO'd him like 3 times, I believe. He hit him the one time, spun him around, dropped him, hit him again. The guy, started falling, and he woke back up, and then Crute dropped him again, and then the ref called it, and then Crute, sits next to him at the end of the fight. Pretty funny to me. Like, he didn't just completely knock this guy senseless. That's the UFC for it. I believe somebody said they've heard trees falling, that had less impact than Crute's punches, and that's definitely true. The sound of that impact whenever he hit that first punch was insane. It sounded like a jackhammer hitting concrete. Jimmy Crute is definitely a contender there. I'd like to see him get a step up in competition next. He called out Nikita Krylov, I believe. He was calling out. I think I forget if he'd been calling out Misha Serkinov or Nikita Krylov in the past. But yeah, that's a fight I'd like to see. Nikita Krylov, I believe, is ranked. So yeah, let's go ahead and give Jimmy Crute a ranked opponent. I believe he's ready for it. Yeah, and let's see what you're made of, man. That was a little bit of questionable matchmaking for me. Putting Bukauskas in there against Crute. Crute absolutely showed what he was about. Then moving on, we had Andrade TKO and Caitlin Chookagian. I definitely didn't see her, TKO and Chookagian that early. I did pick Andrade. I picked her by decision, maybe late TKO. I just saw maybe her power, just wearing on through the fight and eventually, maybe getting a stoppage. But man, she hit her with that body shot, and Chookagian, turned around and was in pain. I immediately thought it was like a nut shot, and I was like, oh wait, these are girls, they don't have nuts. So I thought it was like a cunt punch or something, But on the replay, it was clean. It was a clean shot. Andrade's she's just too strong. Chookagian just couldn't take the body shots. She hit her with it. Chookagian, like I said, turned around. Then Andrade, was a little hesitant because she didn't know if the ref was going to step in because it was a low blow or what. But the ref let him go as he should have. Good decision there by the ref. Andrade, trying to jump in with some flying knee. I don't know what exactly it was. She's kind of, jumped up and tucked her knees in. That was a little bit of a weird weird maneuver there, but nonetheless, got the finish. Stopped Chookagian inside of 1 round. She'll probably be number 1, number 2 in the flyweight rankings. I say you could book her versus Shevchenko right away. Some other people are saying maybe one more. Don't really care. I think you could do her versus. Who could you do her versus? Maybe. Let's see. Calvillo, maybe Jessica I. just to make Andrade prove herself. And Andrade is a strong girl, man. She do not want to fuck with her. She's I got dude strength. You know what I mean? But yeah, 4-0 so far, and then the only one I got wrong was the main event. You know, in the main event, I thought Ortega coming off 2-year plus layoff was going to be a lot rustier than he was, but he came out there and just outpointed the zombie the whole fight. I don't know if I want to say that Ortega was just that much better, or if the zombie was just that off. I would say it was a combination of both. I know the zombie said that after he got hit with that spinning elbow, spinning tricep, really, that he didn't remember the fight after that. So that's might be why the fight went the way it did. You had Ortega winning the first round, and then the second round, I had Zombie winning up until he got dropped by the spinning tricep. And that shot really just changed the whole fight. After that, Zombie was kind of hesitant to strike with him. He was kind of just standing there, waiting. Ortega would jab him in the face, and then Zombie would go like this and shake out his arms, shake out his hands. He looked like a zombie out there. I mean, what do you want to say? But you gotta give credit to Ortega. He definitely reinvented himself. I like that Philly shell defense that he implemented. There is a couple disadvantages to it, but he definitely looked good with it. The Korean Zombie's definitely more of like a hook thrower. He likes to throw wide, overhand stuff like that. So the Philly shell is good for defending those type of strikes. However, like if you're fighting somebody that likes to throw strikes straight up the middle, it's not the greatest defense because there is an opening right up the middle with that type of defense. But Ortega, cruises away decision, 50-45 across the board. I don't disagree with that. Ortega is now going to be sliding into the title shot versus the champ Volk. I don't mind Ortega's chances in that fight. I definitely, if this Ortega shows up to fight Volkanovski, I definitely think we could be getting a new champ. But with that being said, Volk is I don't know if I want to say a different level of striker, but a different level of striker. You know what I mean? Looking at a common opponent between them, Holloway, Volkanovski, pretty clearly outpointed him the first fight, and then beat him the second fight, kind of questionably. I'd say that Volkanovski won more rounds. However, to me, Max won the second fight, but we judged on a round by round basis. So I believe Volkanovski rightfully won that fight. But yeah, Volkanovski, he showed a lot, in those two battles with Max Holloway. He showed the ability to adjust mid fight and showed his championship caliber. We'll see. This is a definitely intriguing matchup. I'm interested to see what the odds are. The odds makers seem to love Brian Ortega because he was favored in that Holloway fight. He wasn't favored in the Zombie fight, but Zombie was looking unstoppable coming into it, and he looked anything but that on fight night. But yeah, comment down below what you guys thought of the fights. I went 5-1, 4-1. Pretty decent night of picks for me. I'll be coming out later this week with the UFC 254 breakdown, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.